Nothing defines cinema more than the great American Western. There's something about these men in the late 1800s that captures the spirit of freedom, liberty, and the human spirit. There's a romanticism there. While death might lie around any corner, there is a profound respect for life and swift justice for those that would take it unfairly. This is most evident in the tale of Jake Spoon. Before we talk about Jake, it's important to speak about his good friends.
Many thanks. You ever get tired of loafing? I reckon you can get a job waiting on tables.
Oh, I had a job waiting tables once. It was on a riverboat. I wasn't no older than Newt there, but I had to give it up.
How come?
Well, I was too young and pretty, and the whores wouldn't let me alone.
Gus McCrae, played by Robert Duvall, is the quintessential cowboy and a distillation of the American spirit. He is charming and tough, while also being capable of deep emotional understanding. Women love him and men respect him, but all the while he stays humble and consistently demonstrates how he earned the adulation he has. Gus is based on real-life Kentucky-born Texas cattle rancher Oliver Loving, who would famously join up with Legend of the West Charles Goodnight for a 2,000-mile cattle drive after being stiffed almost $200,000 by the then-defunct Confederate States Army. Captain Woodrow F. Call, played by Tommy Lee Jones, is the ice to Gus's fire. He is calm, cool, and collected. He commands respect by his very presence, and you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of the famous Woodrow anger. He is based on the aforementioned Texas legend Charles Goodnight. Together, the two men would establish the Goodnight-loving trail and blaze their way into the history books. Goodnight can be described in one story. Upon hanging a group of murderous cattle ranchers from a telegraph pole, his wife would take issue, to which Charles simply replied, "Well, I don't think it hurt the telegraph pole." He was a man of justice, and to him that justice was blind and applied to the actions of all men. Joshua Dietz, played by Danny Glover, is a former Texas Ranger and serves as a tracker and scout. He is the man Gus and Woodrow go to because of his absolute expertise, and his proficiency earns him the respect of the group. Based off the real-life cowboy Bose Ickard, a former slave turned scout, Goodnight would employ him as a banker, and former Confederate Oliver Loving would come to trust in his expertise. On his tombstone, Charles Goodnight would inscribe, "Never shirked a duty or disobeyed an order, rode with me in many stampedes, participated in 3 engagements with Comanches, splendid behavior."
Thought we was gonna rob banks. I don't remember nothing about stealing horses.
You got something against stealing horses?
Don't happen to be my line of work, that's all.
Oh, you ain't too old to learn something new now, are you? If you are, we can leave you right here, dead in the ground. I won't tolerate no shirkers.
These 3 are the men that raised Jake Spoon, and in his deepest fantasies, he is just like them. Realistically, however, like most of us, he falls short of being the man he sees within himself. A lot of people will watch or read Lonesome Dove and hate Jake Spoon, without realizing that emotion is coming from a deep rejection of the Jake Spoon inside us all. He is a former Texas Ranger and has been capable of great heroism in the past, but he is also a liar, a womanizer, a thief, and a murderer. Running from the hokey justice of the lame-brained Sheriff July Johnson, he goes back to his best friends hoping to blend into their numbers and escape the noose. From the literature, he speaks to the prostitute by necessity Lorena, saying, "All men ain't the same, so they shouldn't be the same price, or am I wrong?" Lorena doesn't answer verbally, but she realizes to herself, all men aren't quite the same. A few were nice enough that you might notice them, and a goodly few were mean enough that she couldn't help noticing them, but the majority were neither one nor the other. They were just men, and they left money, not memories. Jake would promise the gullible Lorena to get her out of Lonesome Dove and up to San Francisco, only to abandon her after she is kidnapped by the outlaw and reoccurring antagonist of Gus and Woodrow, Blue Duck. Instead, he ends up where he always does, in a saloon with a different prostitute gambling with men of ill repute. Unfortunately for him, at the table will be the psychotic Ed Suggs, and lacking the constitution to stand up for truth and justice, he falls in with them, going on a murderous spree of horse theft. News of the crimes soon reach the former Texas Rangers who raised him, and soon his surrogate brothers are hot on the trail, finally surrounding and capturing them.
Gus, how?
You know how it works, Jake. You ride with an outlaw, you die with an outlaw. I'm sorry you crossed the line.
I didn't see no line, Gus.
Jake tries to appeal to the emotions of Dietz, Gus, and Woodrow, pleading with him that it wasn't his fault and expecting them to bail him out of his own decisions yet again. But this time it is different, and when true freedom and justice is on the table, there is no room for half measures. He ends up on the rope the same as the others. Gus hangs the three men, stopping on Spoon to allow him his last words. There was no hesitation with the last three, but here the group lingers, obviously not wanting to be the one that kills their good friend. But Jake takes the matter into his own hands. Spurring the horse, he dies the way he could never live, as a man worthy of the friendship he was given. There are many great stories to be told in the extended works of Larry McMurtry, but since watching this movie as a kid, the Ballad of Jake Spoon has been a concept that's evolved with me as I've aged. When I was young, I just didn't like Jake. I thought he was mean and got what he deserved. In my 20s, I thought, how could his best friends kill him like that? But as a man, I understand that by being a Jake Spoon, going with the crowd, keeping quiet about the injustices around you, spending your effort on self-indulgence and rejecting the example of the better men around you puts the noose around your own neck. Much like justice, the world reacts to what you put into it. And if you're honest with yourself, you might realize how small that contribution is and be moved to do more. Jake Spoon reminds all of us that even our life is less important than doing the right thing and conducting ourselves with honor and respect.